Hi, Robin.
Good morning, Big Dan. How are you today?
I'm good. Heather made me late.
Uh-oh. That's all right.
No. How are you this morning?
Uh, I'm sitting at Pima County because they needed to update my laptop and it was supposed to be ready to be picked up at 7:15 and I was here, but of course they're having a little issue. So IT is working on it, so who knows. I didn't want to work for them today anyway.
I didn't want to do that anyways. Whew.
But I wore my red shirt for you.
Awesome. Not for me. It's for remembering the military.
That's right. And teachers.
And teachers. Red for Ed. Oh, we stopped and got a bagel this morning. I like to be at the office like 10 minutes early so I have time to set up.
Right. No such luck today.
Got here right now.
Well, enjoy your bagel.
Any other movement on your buyers? They moved past that solar house?
Yeah. So I excluded solar on our search, and I talked to him on the phone last night, and I hope they're going to really let us choose to look at instead of being all over the place. Because I've been out with them every single night this week. And they go from a house at 260 to a 199. And
I mean, if they're in the 260 range, they're going to have a whole lot less competition, but
he's approved for 260, but he's not that comfortable, even though, we've showed him that there's not that much difference in the payment. So today I'm looking at two, hopefully more appropriate with one's 255 on Painted Sunset Circle, and it's Grant and Silverbell, like west, a little bit different area that I personally like. So we'll see.
I like the west side too. If I wasn't living north, I'd still live west.
Yes, me too.
Speaking areas, can you guys give me some advice? I've got a guy who moved to Green Valley and he's like, wow, it's dead down here. And he wants to be closer to Tucson. He only wants to spend $300 and be like 15 minutes from downtown. I thought of Star Pass. Thought of Star Pass, but all I can find is condo. He kind of wants a yard because he has a big dog that he wants to be able to run around and not have to walk.
Not Star Pass. Come up further north. Sunset. Ruthroft, okay. that west border there, you get a lot of houses in that, around 3, maybe bump a little bit if you find something that's perfect, but
you want something newer too.
Okay.
That's the other problem.
How big of a yard?
Just I guess big enough for the dog to run around. Doesn't have to be. And I asked him about even like a new construction maybe, but anyway,
they're just not going to have a big yard. They're going to have a little yard.
Yeah, I think as long as it's a yard. You guys, what that mean?
Morning, Teresa.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Morning, Tess.
What is with the reverberation here?
Yeah, you guys hear yourselves too?
Yes.
Is it getting better? I'm not hearing it like it was.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it either.
Yeah.
So, technically, downtown is 15 minutes from a lot of places.
Well, I know if you're near the interstate, but because he's like, oh, how about the foothills? And I'm like, well, you're not going to find a house.
Not even close to 15 minutes.
Foothills, or even really Oro Valley. So, yeah, I'm trying to keep him near the interstate because he's used to going, from Green Valley, everything's about 30 minutes too. So he doesn't like that.
Newer build yards, 300,000. Shit, put them on Cortero. There's a ton of new houses going in there. That'll be right at that 270 to 300 range. It'll be nice houses, bigger.
Yeah, I thought it like the one at Linda
And
Vista.
you're
Is
like,
that what you're thinking?
yeah,
Yeah, I thought of that. It says it's closer to like 25 minutes or something. But
You want to be close to downtown, you said?
yeah, this client wants to be close to downtown because he moved to a Green Valley and was like, wow, it's really dead here. I want to be able to go do stuff.
The other one you might think of is La Estancia on Cole. It's right at the freeway.
Yeah, he mentioned like Vale, and that's definitely like 30 minutes from. I'm using Hotel Congress was his example, and I'm like, okay, you want 15 minutes from Hotel Congress? That is not going to be Vale.
Cole, yes, Estancia there is literally Colburn I-10.
Yeah.
That's 10 minutes to downtown.
All right, I might try that. Thank you guys.
there's a lot more listings online. I love the fact that we're starting to get listings in our system that go all the way out to Agua Prieta.
And the other, there's a really cool sub over on that a little bit north of Prince Road, I think, River Crossing.
Uh-huh. It's hard to find something in River Crossing right
There's
now.
some pretty nice places in there. I don't know what's for sale. I know the stuff that comes up usually gets snapped up right away.
Right.
But for some reason, that seems to be I had a number of people that mentioned that out of the blue, like, oh, what about in River Crossing? Like, you know about River Crossing?
Yeah, right now in River Crossing, you've got two. One for $289, 2-story.
Oh yeah, I see one story.
One for $260, Morning Dream. I think that's also 2-story. In this community. Angie Kuzma. It's one of our, yeah, it's one of the doll houses. It's gorgeous inside though. It's got to be a wound story. No problem. Happy Friday, everybody. Good morning, 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 and good morning. Okay, that's everybody. I even said good morning to myself. How was it all?
Good.
Teresita, is your camera on a computer or your phone?
That does not look purple.
It's my computer,
Oh, okay, just wondering.
because if I do the phone, I'll text and all that get on the way.
All right, how's your week's been? What kind of things can we help you with? What are you looking forward to this weekend?
I want to
Anyone?
invite you guys to my open house. It's
All
a
right.
4-bedroom, 2-bath, 185 in the south side. It's renovated, so it's a great first started home. for somebody.
Teresita, is that house that you looked at a long time ago that we talked about like 3 months ago?
No, that's another one.
Okay.
We sold that one.
What's the
We
address?
sold that one to an investor because of the
Okay.
reparations.
Yeah, the 150 mark needed a ton of work.
Yes,
I'd like to see what that one turns out to look like when they're
I
done.
know the owner too, the old owner.
I absolutely love when you get tough sales like that, and then the rehabs turn out amazing.
Yeah, well, it was as an experience, so you know, this is somebody's very close to my husband, and it's their parents' house, and they passed, right? Mother passed like in December or something like that, so it's very hard for them, right? And
Right.
hard for them to think that they can get some amount of money, and they end up getting like $30,000 less because of the condition of the house. But then they try to turn it on me, like, what did you do? And then immediately before it went south or sour, I went back and I'm like, hey, this is emotional for you guys, and you think I'm not doing what I'm supposed to, but I show you and prove you that this is gonna happen. And that helps me not wait for them to think that you're doing something wrong, because they feel attached to it.
Awesome.
And then I gave them as a gift, because what do you give as a gift to somebody that is their house that their parents passed, right? So my sister came up with an idea. There's frames. I don't know the name, so forgive me. There's frames that are thick and deep that you can stick stuff in there, like little
Oh,
frames,
like a knick-knack shadow box.
keepsake type of thing.
Shadow box.
So
Yeah.
I went and found a picture of their parents and cut it and put it there, and then a picture of the house, and then put a cross and farewell or family or whatever. Oh, that made it. That was a good move for me. So that way, instead of them being angry with me, they were like, "Oh, thank you," and I mean it. I did it in a good way. I wanted to close that circle or something. I don't know. It was kind of difficult, but that was that.
Beautiful.
That was that.
Who else got something neat? Morning, Teresa. Morning, Cindy. Which Cindy is this?
Morning. Sorry.
It's that Cindy. Okay.
Sorry, I'm cooking.
She's on her cell phone baking.
I wanted
Bacon and
to,
potatoes.
Good hearty breakfast.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
for
be
my
over.
daughter. I'm trying to hurry.
We had a good chat last night on the PC Mastermind, PM PC Mastermind, whatever you want to call it. Last night's call where we talk about how to deal with a aggressive individual, aggressive seller, aggressive buyer in a consultation or a selling appointment. So I kind of want to pose the question to you is how would you handle somebody that seems to be throwing up a lot of walls, a lot of resistance, a lot of resentment? Teresa, you can't talk.
Okay.
She's got the inside scoop. So does Tess, but Tess is also walking away a lot, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, you did. I managed to hang in there and diffuse the situation and got to the reasoning, I believe, for the aggression. So it was not easy, but I was able to find out that mainly the owner is just too much in debt. So when I told them what the comps and adjusting the comps came down to and what their home could possibly be marketable for, they just told me to get out. They'd rather burn it down than give it away. So
Yikes.
it was pretty, and it was, not spoken lightly of. It was yelling and get the hell out. And yeah, it was an experience. So I'm learning, but I was able to find out why all that anger was there, and then I assured them that this was a preliminary based on, because it's way out, so it was hard to find comps. I said, and I come to see your place so that I know what you have, if you've done upgrades, yada yada, to see how we can enhance this market price. So I went from that aspect to then when they're thinking about hiring me to, well, if I hire you, you're going to work for me. You're not going to sit on your ass and eat your fat ass and eat bonbons all day. So that was another very derogatory. I was almost in shock that this woman just spewing this.
A woman said that to you?
Oh, yes. Her husband was a fine gentleman, and he was ready to sign the paperwork from the moment I walked in practically. But she was just angry from the moment I stepped in the door. She had this, like Dan said, a huge wall. And I thought maybe they had personally been into it. So I'm just like tippy-toeing around like, this environment is not good. But it was to me as an agent because she's so upset because both houses on either side of her are for sale, but they're not even in the MLS. So that lets me know the so-called agents that have their sign in the yard, one of them put their sign in the yard and hasn't even come back to see the client in 3 years. 3 years. The other one's been over 2 years, and it's a different agent. So you got two different agencies agents come out, sign the paperwork, throw a sign in the yard, and they never hear from them again. So that's her perspective of what an agent does. And she said, I can't let my house sit here for 3 years. You know, we need to sell it. I need the money. So but I found out why she was so aggressive. And anyway, so we'll see what's going to happen with that. But I was there for almost 3 hours enduring this. So, yeah.
Welcome
I
to real
am
estate.
in awe of the fact that you stayed after she was so aggressive at the very beginning and almost threw you out.
Yeah.
I am in awe of
Yeah.
you.
Way to hang in there, Teresa. Gosh.
I drove an hour and a half. I wanted to make the best of my time.
Yeah, really. So the discussion was how to diffuse this or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. For me, this, after hearing that whole description, the incredibly derogatory remark about sitting around on your fat butt and eating bonbons, I would have turned that immediately on or had a good laugh about it and say, that's pretty funny. But honestly, as a professional real estate agent, I'm sorry to hear that there's a sign in the yard from 2 different agents. They've walked away and never come back. Trust me, that will never happen because I am a professional real estate agent. I do not sit on my butt and eat bonbons. I will be working for you as best as I can to maximize the return on the sale of this house. That's what I do. So, I'd like to talk more about what we can do to make that happen as opposed to what's happened in the past. This is I'm coming to you with a whole different perspective on how this is going to be handled.
Yeah. At that point, though, I didn't know about her homes. I just thought she hated me. It's like,
Right.
what did I do? So,
Right.
yeah, at that point, I didn't know the reasoning there. I had to pull that out. It took a little while to get to that point. So, but yeah, and I did reassure her that the reasoning behind the signs being there is because obviously the agents, it looks like they're not working very hard. I didn't want to
Or
say
at all. Hoping
at
somebody
all, yeah.
clearly they stuck the sign in the yard, hoping somebody's going to call them. And then at that point, they might do something.
Well, I did let her know that I'm a realtor, not just a real estate agent, that I do have affiliation with the MLS. I said, and if a real estate agent does not, they're not allowed to list it in the MLS. And maybe that's another reason the homes have been sitting here if they're not in the MLS system.
Gotcha. All right, Dan. Well, what are you looking for from?
Yeah.
What was that would have been my cue. That would have been my cue in that whole situation to try and start flipping and fusing the situation.
What's what I wanted to know is how would you handle a situation that is that aggressive? Now, you find somebody that's throwing up a lot of walls, a lot of resistance. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
It's what is it? What is it about this past stuff, or what is it that's making you feel this way?
Yeah.
Try and get to the root of where that anger is coming from.
Let's peel it back a layer. It tells me that we don't have enough rapport. It tells me that if somebody's throwing up wall after wall after wall after wall and short answer after short answer after short answer, I haven't gotten to know them enough as a person and moved too fast into business. Being able to have a conversation, create a relationship, and get to the business quickly is what we do effectively. Some people need a little bit more time on the oven before they're done. We need to keep them. We need to warm them up. We need to get them rolling. We need to get them ready. Otherwise, we're just fighting it, Molasses doesn't move so quick when it's cold. Flows like water when it's hot. It can be sticky and hard to deal with. You get it hot, get it warmed up. So
Yeah, I think her demeanor changed because she was like, I'm not signing anything, blah, blah, blah. I said, I didn't come here to force anyone to do anything that they're not ready to do, and you don't have to sign anything. I'm here to see, to introduce myself, get to know you, and to see what your home is like. I can't see it from Google Earth inside. And that's why I'm here. And it's an introductory meeting. I want to get to know you, and let you know who I am, what I can do for you. So the demeanor did change once I just took that part off the table and said, I'm just here to listen, to get to know you, to see, what we have to work with. Her wall started coming down a little bit then. That's when she shared about her neighbors. And, so it was like finally that it was like, oh, okay. So she just came down here to talk. So immediately it was like all the papers I had in front of me, that didn't matter now. I think that made her nervous. It's like, I got this stack of paperwork. She's like, well, I'm not signing anything. It was just that, even though they wanted me to come down and they said they needed to sell their house, it was confrontational from the moment I walked in.
Teresa?
Yeah.
You got me thinking that you had to go and get the neighbors too.
I mentioned that.
Yeah, that's what Dan said last night. I said, yeah.
That's the first thing I said is, oh man, I'd be going after those neighbors.
But Teresa, you bring up a good point. We're going in blind every
Yeah.
time we meet these people, right? And I had not a dissimilar with the elderly gentleman that I've been working with for a couple months. And luckily we talked enough over the phone. But even when I started to come out and say, would you be ready to sign papers today? He's like, no, I'm not signing anything. And that was my first visit. And thankfully his family came in because I was like, he probably should have people there tell him through this. But the other problem was like I hadn't seen the inside of the house and I didn't know how bad it was. So when I first went out with comps, I was like, oh, this could get around 170 maybe. And then I saw the house. I'm like, yesterday I had to go back and say, I'm thinking more 150. And thank God they didn't freak out. But I was obviously pretty nervous about having to drop. I'm like, maybe he's old enough that he doesn't remember what I told him last time, even though I left him my estimates. But anyway, I totally feel you. And luckily I didn't get screamed at about it. But just as an example, this stuff happens when we can't see people's homes and we don't know what the condition. We go in with our best guess, right, until we see it. And I think that's what we have to tell people.
I think
Well, this was a referral. So I don't know these people. I've never met them. Briefly on the phone, with my preliminary introduction, how can I help you and blah, blah, blah. But, these are referrals. So I am going in blind. I don't know who they are. I'm new to Tucson. So I have to rely on some referrals because I know my brother and my cousin. That was it. So I've had to build.
there was an interesting statement you made though that I think is sort of key. And this is because it comes up in some of our engineering consultations too. You said that when she saw the stack of papers, it's sort of like, okay, we can be prepared that they're in our briefcase or whatever, but maybe showing that ammunition way too soon was like, so we always wait and talk about the weather. And then when it seems like it's okay, time to get down to business, then we pull out the documents because they are intimidating, especially if you're, you got a sheath this thick.
Yeah, well, could be. It was the environment when I walked in was they have a puppy meal and there's puppies and feces and urine everywhere. It's inside the house, the living room, the kitchen, everywhere. So I'm tippy-toeing around piles to get to the dining room that is a mountain of stuff table. And they had this tiny little, maybe a foot area that I can sit. So I have my briefcase, my, everything in my lap, trying to pull one thing out of the, it was, and then the dogs are barking the whole entire time. So that's the other part of the story.
It was driving me crazy.
That I'm trying to talk with literally there was about 50 to 60 dogs all around me. Yeah, it was, yeah. So I didn't, I love dogs, but
I think you got your challenges for the next 5 years out of the way in one go.
That's crazy.
You all of a sudden can go, yeah, seen it, been there, done that.
That's what I was thinking. Oh yeah, everything's downhill gravy now.
You could be a good farmer's agent. Farmer's insurance.
Now you guys know what it's like to go through a tough situation like that, so you can learn how to handle it. The advice I would give in this situation is, one, hold your emotions in check. I love Michael Whining brought up a point yesterday. He's like, maybe she was being that way to see how you would handle a tough situation, and dictating on how you respond is if they're going to move forward or not. I don't know if some people think that far ahead. I love the way that Mike brought that up. It's kind of an obscure thought process, but also it's always keeping your composure, never getting rattled. I love how Larry handled it with comedy. I would have done similar. I probably would have been a lot sharper than that, only just because that's how I am. You know this.
I was just in shock. I
So
didn't.
the rapport up front would really help out getting you into a position where you're having higher minded conversations with less resistance and already shining past where you're at. So I would call him up today and just ask him, hey, do you guys have any lingering questions that popped up after yesterday's meeting? I almost said confrontation.
I did.
Yesterday's fight.
I sent her last night after our meeting, which I appreciated so much because I did hold my emotions in, and it came out once I got home. But I did send her I gave her my app, text her the Keller Williams phone app, and then I also, because I told her I would do that, and then I also thanked her for their time in opening their home up to me, and that I fully understand her concerns based on, you know, the fact she needs to sell her home quickly and get the highest value she can when her neighbors' homes are sitting there for so long. I said, I can fully understand, you know, your emotions, and just left it at that.
Nice.
Good job. That's a great send off.
Guys, though, don't we also need to know our clients need to be coachable? I mean, is she ready to do the things to get it sold? You got 50, 60 dogs in a house, that's not going to sell. So what are they going to do to get that house ready to sell? And at some point, I realize we can't save everybody, and I like to try to do everything for everyone, and it can't happen every time. So just trying to learn that our clients still do need to be able to listen to us and get their homes ready to be saleable.
That begs another thing for me too. As much as this lady and her husband are in the situation they're in, if it's an hour and a half drive, how many open houses is it going to take? If the house is full of dogs and feces and all that stuff, the remediation that's going to be necessary is going to be deep. So there's several $1,000s right there that's got to come out of the seller's pocket to even get the house ready to try and sell. So, you know, we're into solving of problems, but sometimes if the problems get, so mountainous, and especially the distance that you're talking about, in order to be able to deal with them on a almost daily basis during the sale process, you got to start to wonder, is this a walk away? So, and I hate turning down business, but is this going to be more trouble than it's really worth? I mean, go back to thinking how you felt when you got home last night and you said you let it out. Well, is that going to be the case every time you try and work with something on these people? So to turn that around, the next step would be, all right, I'm going to come back down and we're going to sit down and talk about what's necessary to accomplish the goal that you want, which is a quick sale for the most amount of money. There are some barriers to I don't want to call it barriers. There are some things that we need to discuss about getting the house ready for sale. Because if there's a mountain of stuff in the kitchen and all that other kind of stuff, you're looking at a disaster that will not show.
Yes, I was able to talk to them last night about that, actually. So, like I said, I plowed through lots of things, and
Well, good.
And one thing I said, well, luckily they're moving, hopefully the end of next month. I said, how long do you think it's going to take you all after you move to have the house ready for professional pictures and get it on the market? So I let them know it needs to look nice. Bringing in a professional photographer. I didn't want to say, get it sanitized, but I think that was, they could, they knew that, you know, this
Right.
needs to be cleaned up.
Well, that's good. Then you set the
And
expectations.
they said it would
that's a
take
big
them
one.
probably 2 months, a month to 2 months to get it cleaned up.
Okay. Well, you
So,
set the expectations and there you go. So you actually, halfway solve the problem by doing that verbally with them and saying it early in the
yeah,
process before you waste too much more time.
yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Tess, go.
This is just the analytical me, okay? To me, it sounds like that's the kind of person, though, that you're gonna have to delineate exactly what ready means, because if they're living in that kind of squalor, what is their standard for cleaning that house? They can say, well, yeah, it's going to take us 2 months to clean it, but what standard is that to them versus what you're expecting?
Oh, that's when, and actually the answer to that is the standard is what the real estate agent sets with them as far as what the house needs to be ready.
Exactly, but that's why I'm saying it's going to be,
Could be
that's
another
not gonna be
challenge.
something you
Yeah.
can dance around. That's
Nope.
got to be
No.
something that's spelled out
Yeah.
and
Oh.
articulated precisely.
Yeah, for the house that I sold that Larry and Dan saw that need a lot of fixing, I
What's
asked
in the
them,
statement?
I asked them to empty the house. And I'm like, I'm only gonna put this house on the market if you empty the house, because they were not living in the house. They were parents. It was their parents' house of 40 years full of stuff. So I asked them, like, I know it's hard, but it's better than today than who knows when. And it's better that you guys do it instead of somebody else go through your mom and dad's stuff. So they emptied the house. So that was easier for me. But it took me a while, Teresa.
Well,
Yeah.
good. I love hearing that you guys are picking up on the techniques we talk about every day. I love that Larry went right into what is important about that. What's the issue with that? What's holding you back? So don't forget to overcome the objection with the simple, other than the agents next door showing you that agents just sit on their ass eating bonbons. What's holding you back from letting me sell your house for you right now? If they say nothing, you say, great, press hard, 4 copies, bottom copy's yours.
I gotta go shower before Ignite, so adios.
Well,
Question,
thanks.
Dan and Larry. Sorry, Teresa.
Yeah.
Oh, can't do it. Past time.
What do you guys think, real quick, about those agents that are taking houses and just telling yes to whatever the price the seller wants to hear, but at the end it won't appraise? Like, what is your take there?
They're not going to be in the business long.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's the 80-20 rule. Those are the agents in the bottom 80%. We need to stay in the top 20%. And that's everything that we talk about, everything that we go through in these calls and through the whole Keller Williams process of being a true professional real estate agent, is setting expectations up front, understanding, sometimes you go in and when the owner thinks, well, this is going to be 260 or not, I'm not going to, you need to go with 260. Well, the house is only worth 240 and you're going to be in a situation. The only other back out on that is in my case, when I had that on the house, the last house I sold, I just told them, I said, okay, I'll start at that with you then, which was too high. But I said, if we're going to do that in the first 10 days, if we don't have an offer after showings, we're going to reduce the sale price and aggressively. And it took two or three of those to get it to where it got started to get its offers. So that's my way out of that. If somebody wants to start too high, it's in the first 10 days. If we don't have an offer, then, and we've had showings, that's going to tell us that we're priced too high and we need to start looking at reductions.
Here's a great sentence I picked up from one of our megas. The market has rejected our price.
No, that's right. You told us that's right. There it is.
That's great.
The
Yeah,
market
because
has rejected our price.
the listing that I talked to last night, they wanted it listed at 550. My comp said 450, 455. I said, well, let's see what we can do to try to get closer, but it has to appraise. I said, if it doesn't appraise, unless they have a suitcase of money, it's not going to sell for that 550 if it can't appraise for that. So that's good, Larry. We can list it, but like Teresita said, is it going to appraise and then just reduce? But I guess you're appeasing the client by letting them list it for their pie in the sky amount.
Yeah, well, it's just like Dan just said, though. If you're $100,000 apart on your comps and their list price,
Yeah.
the market has rejected that price. The market is telling us that it's going to be closer to 455. If you want to be somewhat aggressive above that and try starting at 475 and see what happens. But then my next step. But within the first 10 days, we've had showings and no offers. We're priced too high. The market's going to tell us where that fine line is when a first offer comes in.
Yeah.
So, because you're going to be wasting your time if you're going to sit at 550 and try and then go down $10,000 every 10 or 14 days. The house is going to be on the market for 6 months.
And Larry, you get that written down in the listing agreement, right? Under additional.
You can. I've done it verbally 2-3 times now. But I did it verbally, but it's just agree with me. This is going to be our plan. Okay. Well, let's get it started. They were anxious to get it on the market. And sure enough, first 10 days, lots of showings, not a single offer. I said that tells us we're priced too high. So we reduced from 245, I think it was, to like 3 or 237. Anyway, you figure out where those break points are that make sense.
Good advice. I wish I had you and Dan with me last night.
all you would have needed was Dan. It would have been, he'd have had them won over, lights out, done deal in a matter of 10 minutes.
It sounds like you did amazing just to hang in there, Teresa. So
I believe that Mara's right. It sounds like you did a hell of a job for your second listing appointment. Your first listing appointment, way out there with some crazy kook that wants land off the grid. Your second listing appointment for a luxury home. I don't care what you call it. $500,000 is luxury.
Okay.
Dan, the train on Saturday, what time is it?
10 to noon.
Thank you.
Bring your laptops, bring your A game, bring something to drink.
But if we're virtual, we don't have to necessarily register, right?
If you're virtual, just bring your butt to the Zoom call. Let's go. No, you're fine. You don't need to register if you're virtual.
I'll be at the KOP office to help people. So.
So we got you guys covered. Other than that, have a blessed Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a fantastic, productive weekend. Remember that you are a badass. You know what to do, and you are good enough. Bye, guys.